So joining me now, along with my co-host, Benji Escobar, we've got Dr. Amy Tan, we've got Andrea Bonner, we've got, well, and of course, Dr. Lana Pagal from the Northwest College. Welcome, ladies. Thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
And most importantly, thanks for being a part of Up to the Minute. You know, we started the show little over 5 years ago, started live streaming. Then we went away for spring break and didn't come back for like 4 years, you know, or some of us came back and then staggered our way back. But we've been around now for over 5 years doing this version of the show, and you guys have all played a big part of it. So we wanted to give you a chance to talk with us today. Amy, you started on the show and you have some interesting memories of when we first started broadcasting, because I think we were doing it here, then we went from our homes.
Yeah, I really, you know, I always loved Up to the Minute, and I would watch it on social media and try to interact with the show. But it was during the pandemic that it really became the center for me, because we were all at home, and you know, it was Up to the Minute was what was keeping us informed, and you know, kind of gave an anchor to my day, especially when you went to the two-a-days.
Yeah, that was a lot. I mean, we think of it now. We were doing two versions of the show a day, one at 10 a.m. and I think the second one at 1 p.m. But we did get a lot of views out of that because people were watching it.
We were all at home wondering what was going on and what was going to happen. And, you know, I went back and watched, Melanie had asked me to look at some shows and talk about some memorable guests. And, you know, I went back to that March 13th show with Dr. Ewan. And, you know, we had no idea. He was still talking about, well, HISD just made this announcement and we have a couple of buildings closed, but everybody's still on campus and we're still working. I mean, we just had no idea what was coming.
Remember, there'd be infections reported in some buildings and they shut the building down. They have to deep clean it.
That's right.
You know, we were living that era. And I remember that day very vividly because Dr. Shante Grace was here as well. And they came in and they said, we have a major announcement, be here at 10 in the morning. The campus was closed, you know, you had to wear a mask up, show up here. And then we show up and they make that announcement. Everybody's just blown away. And I'm thinking, we'll be back by the end of the month. I mean, this is crazy.
We all thought that. It was just wild. But I have to tell you, the show, it was such a value, right? It meant so much to those of us at home who, you know, we were waiting for information. We didn't know what was going on. And I really appreciated the Up to the Minute and how, you know, how it was handled and the various guests. And, you know, we heard from our leaders, we heard from police chief, we heard from, you know, faculty, professional development. What are we going to do? How are we going to manage this? And it really centered the world for me.
Well, we enjoyed getting it was so important. I felt it was so important to get that information out there. And I'm glad we were able to do it because we have the team and we have the technology to do so, just like HCC. We have the technology literally to back online, teaching students, instructing them virtually within weeks. And I know you were part of that. Andrea, you were part of it as well.
Yes. We were able to transition from, you know, you can't have a fashion show generally online, but one of the things that we were able to do is move that big fashion show that we normally do online, and we were able to actually reach more people than we normally reach. So I would say there were good and bad things some good things that came out of COVID as well. So we were excited about that.
Right. Benji, I know you had a few questions.
I know, sure day. And I want to ask you some questions. I know you're a regular host on Thursdays now, and we've kind of co-hosted once when I have to fill in, but you started a little bit more modestly, right? Yeah. However, your focus has always been on students, which I love. Yeah. I've always said that students are very important to us. So tell us about, you know, the stuff that you came up with when you came onto the show.
Yeah, and so when I was in my financial aid communications role, I did a weekly financial aid series on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. But then I had the opportunity to bring that as a weekly segment onto Up to the Minute in December 2019, when the show was still playing with, I would say it was some pilot episodes.
Yeah. We didn't know how long it was going to go. Like 15, 20 minutes, what the heck,
So I was able to get my feet wet then, and then of course, we went into the pandemic, and I took a sabbatical because I had to focus on the other communications part while Up to the Minute handled the digital part. But then from there, I transitioned, I believe in 2022 to a weekly host. And I just have to say, for the people out there, I don't think people realize what it takes to produce a 30-minute long show every day. To get the guests from Melanie, from Todd, who was Mr. Up to the Minute for years before he got consistent help with hosts, it takes a lot. And I think the other thing that I've always appreciated is just it's a platform to get the word out in a way that produces digital content. So I would say, since we're reflecting on our most memorable shows, it was certainly the Juneteenth.
I was going to ask you about that. Yes, Muralist, which one of our production specialists, Carlos, helped you out with the project to do a whole other thing on top of the episode that you interviewed him in.
Yeah, so Reginald Williams' interview turned into an hour-long Juneteenth series. So that was like unprecedented, like for the length of original content for HCCTV Studios. Of course, Carlos, Muhammad, and Melanie, we all pulled together to put that production together. So it's been a joy. I've been a guest. I've been a host. I've recommended people to be on the show. So this is just a platform that most institutions don't have.
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the things, and you mentioned it briefly about, you know, when we first started the show, I was hosting it every day. And it's like, I have another job to do, as all of us do, you know, and the producer's like, oh, what are we going to do with getting people to host the show? I'm like, we need to reach out, and getting the colleges to be participants in this was at heart. First was because everybody has other jobs, you know, but I know like Lana, you know, has helped out and then became a permanent host on Wednesdays. And that's really what we kind of envisioned the show, is bringing voices from all across the college to jump in and help. And you've been able to do that for us as well.
Yeah, I started off like Sade. I was the guest, and then I was asked, can you guest co-host? We need somebody. And then I was actually a co-host with Sade, and then got asked to be a co-host with you. Yeah. Wow, this is fun. I really enjoy it. And you know, the first time I did it, I was so nervous. I think I jumped down a little bit, but it's now I just run in and, you know, take my coffee, get my questions. And
you're a pro at it now. You got it down. Everybody's a pro. But one of the things, you know, we also envision the shows where the colleges could bring us their announcements and get that out there. And I know you've been real active in making sure I mean, you're on every Wednesday, making sure the Northwest College gets that, because being up to the minute, if you have something that's happening at the last minute or happening tomorrow, we can help you promote that.
Yeah, it really does help as an extension of the marketing that we do to really be able to get the word out about what's going on at the colleges, and to promote our programs and to tell the good stories of our students, our faculty, our staff, and what our president's doing. Dr. Hodges is always out there.
Oh, yeah. We need to get him to host a show. He has actually in the past. He's done a few of them. Andrea, I know you were talking about one of those important things when you guys had to do your fashion show online. I mean, you literally had to reimagine how you were doing things, because we've always helped you guys with the fashion show, and it's a great production because we can show it on HCCTV, but you guys had to go back to the drawing board and figure out, how do we do this?
Yeah, and it was challenging. I'll say it was challenging to say the least. But as Lana said, it was a great promotional tool for us, and we've been able to take not only the fashion show but the other things that we're doing in the program and promote them on HCCTV. I think Sade was saying a lot of people don't have that platform, so we're really fortunate to have it. I actually called Melanie. I'm gonna give Melanie, one of the producers, a shout out, my second boss, because she's always reaching out saying, "What about this? What about that?" And sometimes it's things that I'm not even thinking about, but we've been able to do that. We, with Consumer Arts, actually have our own show, if you want to call it, within HCCTV, called HCC Lifestyle and Culture, because we think that our programs kind of support the culture, in that we have culinary, fashion, and hospitality, and that's a big part of Houston culture. So we like to let everyone know what we're doing within the college and how that supports the Houston community when our students graduate. So.
And it's a big part of our show because, you know, we want to bring the important things out there, but, you know, lifestyle and culture, that's fun.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, culinary, it's fun, you know, fashions, I know behind the scenes, it's a lot of work, but, you know, for the viewer, it's beautiful to see the dancers and the pictures of the fashions, you know, and then we'll get Hugo Ortega on the show, who was just on a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, Chef Hugo, a lot of people don't know, one of the most famous chefs in the world, is one of our HCC alums. Right. He supports our programs by, you know, giving back to the college by way of scholarships, but also providing a lot of opportunities for our students.
He does.
We've been excited to spotlight him because he does so much for us. So.
Amy, back to you. I know you were on the show just last week, and we were talking about one of your personal endeavors is running the Houston Marathon. And just, okay, I don't want to embarrass you, but going back to the start of COVID, you started doing something.
I
a
did.
daily basis, and you're on a streak right now. And I don't think most people know that, but how many days in a row have you run?
I think I'm at 1748 today.
Yeah.
So, and the pandemic made that possible.
Yeah,
You know,
I know. I made it possible for a lot of us. Just to go to
all of a sudden
lunch runs. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
didn't have an hour commute. We weren't fighting traffic, and that time went back into your day. Whether some of that goes back into HCC, right? We're more we were more productive. But for me, it meant that I got up every morning and I went for that run, and yeah, I've had a hard time letting go of it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, yes, 1,700 days. Yeah, yeah. At least your body's holding up. Mine couldn't make it there. They're holding up.
Yeah.
It's hard, but the trick is, this is the secret. You don't go out and try to run your hardest every single day. You take it easy, you relax. It's good for your mental health. One of the neurologists on a podcast that I was listening to during the pandemic said the best thing you can do for yourself and your mental health is to get outside, be active, and be with people.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I mean,
I took it seriously.
there were a lot of times we couldn't go out to eat. We couldn't go to restaurants. We weren't coming into work. And getting out to the park, at least for me, going on that bike, it was life-saving. It really was. It kept me sane.
It does.
Otherwise, I'm locked in the house all day long with dogs. And I'm no.
Well, and I like to see what you're listening to, because you always post your picture of
Yes.
what you're listening to on your run.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we appreciate everything all of you have done and being on the show for so long. And we appreciate your commitment and showing up every week and when you're on it. And it helps us out a lot in getting the word out to the students.
Well, it's been fantastic. And everything that everyone said, the getting to know our faculty, our students, people in the community is such a wonderful value. We talk about the connections to people, and that's what this show is about.
Well, we're going to continue with what this show is all about with more guests in a second. And the second of the group of 25 will be up here in just a few moments. And these are some of our new co-hosts, but you'll recognize them. Benji, we'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, we will.
At Houston Community College, we make your lessons matter. Open the door to real-world education, where passions become careers. Find out more at hccs.edu and let your success take flight.
That one day at PE when they were like yelling at me, and then you just linked arms with me. I don't think you know how much that helped me. I finally knew that I had somebody.
And welcome back to Up to the Minute. I'm Todd Duplantis, and we're live at the HCCTV studios. And we're bringing all of our guests over the last few years. We're celebrating 5 years, Benji, this month.
5 years.
Were you here when we started this first time around?
I was here as an intern, but
You
it
were
was
here,
something that was going on in the back. I was, focusing on other stuff like editing packages and stuff, but I got dragged into it, and now I love it.
Well, our first set of guests were ones that were here, some of them in the beginning when we started this. Of course, you started hosting the show a few years ago, co-hosting it. But we've got our newest crop of guests, of course, Randy, Nick, and Linda. And we appreciate all of you joining us again.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and I don't think I've seen you in person. I've seen you in person, but we've never seen each other in person. We've hosted a show together for really a couple of years, and we have not seen each other in person. So there you go. The power of virtual reality.
Did not to come to the media conference.
I know. Yeah. Well, I just happen to take things like vacations during the summer, and unfortunately, I missed the last. But supposed to go this year, at least with that. But let's go ahead and get started. Benji, you want to start us off with a few questions for some of our guests?
Yes, I have a question for Linda. I mean, our newest co-host, Brightly and Bubbly edition, someone say natural. I mean, you have a great rapport with Sharday. I mean, that's what I mean. But Sharday is just an easy co-host to co-host with, right? I mean,
Well, I'll let you guys in a little secret.
okay.
When Sharday was in the financial aid role,
I worked in that department.
Oh, so you're like,
So we go way back.
okay.
Way back.
So it's a more of a comfortable thing, and
It is.
okay. Awesome. I mean, how has it been? I mean, to be on this show?
Sade is great. And as a rookie and her have been around for a long time, I watch her each week and I say, oh, I'm going to be able to do that one day. I wake up every week on Thursdays with butterflies.
Mhm.
But Sade comes in, she slides in that seat and she does the thing. Old pro.
Well, the thing about Sade is Sade has that knack where she could just, things would be going crazy in the studio and she just like, ready and okay, and we're on the air.
Absolutely, absolutely. Me, on the other hand, I had a couple of bloops and blunders here and there.
We all have.
You guys are so great. Nobody ever do it.
I want to ask, I know, Nick, you joined us a couple of years ago, I think during the pandemic, and you done radio in the past?
Actually, when I was in college, I did a little radio at KPFT and on the Montrose Free Radio thing.
Oh, yeah.
In the late 90s.
Okay, yeah. We did. I don't know if you knew one of our directors here, he goes by Seamus, but he was on KPFT for many years. So I don't know if you're friends with Jim.
No, I don't know him. But
Well,
when
he'll be on the show tomorrow or later in the week, but he's backstage.
I'll tune in to hear that.
You bring a unique perspective because you're the chair of the history department, correct?
I did serve as the chair for about 4 or 5 years, but when Dean Graham got pulled up to be Northeast Vice President, I got pulled up as well. So I'm currently serving as the interim dean.
Okay, you're the interim dean now.
That's right,
Okay. And you had a special connection. You and I talked about something that was very important to you was these Cherokee orphanages. And I thought that was fascinating. How did you develop an interest in that? Is it just been a passion of yours?
Sure. No, when I was in graduate school, I studied 19th century U.S. Southern history. I was interested in children. I was interested in education and schools. And at that time, during the removal era, Native Americans like the Choctaw and others were being relocated from the American South into Oklahoma, and a lot of them were ending up as children in boarding schools. And so I studied one of those particularly for my dissertation, but I've always been interested in this larger, broader history of schools as institutions, often for marginal people.
Yeah.
I think probably you've seen some recent films on Ireland and the American South where you have young unwed mothers or African-American teenagers that are kind of institutionally trapped in systems that extract labor from them and treat them fairly disposable. And I think there is a larger history of that my work was just a very small piece of.
Well, it's interesting you brought that up. I mean, I was familiar with the subject we talked about, but when I was in Ireland the last month, as a matter of fact, they were taking us on the countryside and they were talking about, they called wash houses, where the young women would be sent to when they really just couldn't deal with them anymore. Either they were getting pregnant or they just were having issues, and they would send them off. And I guess a famous one who had issues over this was Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah, and there's a recent film with Cillian Murphy called Small Things Like These, based on an Irish novella. Some folks may have seen this recent Nickel Boys film about African-American teenagers trapped in a laboring farm school system in the American South. Very, very common experiences. And I think it's important to kind of recover these stories because they are broad around the world from 19th, 20th, 21st centuries. There's a lot of uncovering and restoring these people's stories. It's important work.
Randy, I know you and I co-host every Friday. You've been joining us, and you're an adjunct in the filmmaking department here at HCC, correct? And then you're also work with Swamp, and you've done that for years as well. Maybe you can tell people about your dual role there.
So this is my 5th year as the executive director of Southwest Alternate Media Project. We're a 48-year-old nonprofit that works with emerging filmmakers, emerging artists. And by the way, you can be emerging at any age. Everybody's like, emerging, does that mean young? And I'm like, I'm emerging, I'm not young. But we do a young filmmaker teen boot camp, which we love. I taught that for a long time and still teach it with my good friend, Julie Newland.
Yeah.
We're doing 2 sessions this year because it's painful and we enjoy it.
Well, Julie has been on the show several times. She's a former HCC instructor as well. And she has been involved with you with a lot of projects, correct?
Yeah, Julie and I have worked on a lot of independent films together. She's an amazing cinematographer, a really gifted teacher. And I'm just really lucky. And now a board member at Swamp. So
There you go.
Well,
Yeah.
don't stay around too long, Todd. I'll voluntold anyone.
Well, as you've been mentioning, you do one of your passion projects is you started a media conference, correct?
Yes, the Houston Media Conference is the rebirth of the old Swamp Business and Film Conference that had been going on for a few years and then just sort of petered out. When I was asked to bring it back, my goal was to bring on nonprofit partners so that we could turn it from a film conference into a media conference, which felt more relevant to today. So we do podcasting, animation, film, television. This year we're adding music, and it's everywhere where the intersection of media is. But mostly our goal is to get everybody in media in the same boat, rowing together, because I'm really tired of Austin eating our lunch. So the more that I can do to get us all moving forward and building a creative economy here, the better. Last year we had over 500 people there. We had 83 individual instructors in over 50 hours of programming. And this year it's coming back August 22nd through the 24th.
Where's it going to be?
It's at the Norris Center, same place that it was last year, right at Beltway 8 and I-10. So pretty centrally located if you consider the whole Houston area.
Right.
And great parking and banging air conditioning, which in August.
August, you can't go wrong with AC.
You really
Houston.
can.
Yeah.
Conditioning. There's nothing else happening that weekend. So just come out, and entire all access pass is $100. Discounts for students. So
if you want more information, we'll have it in our social media posts, but it'll be on every Friday because Randy promotes it every Friday on the show, which is a good thing as well with this. Linda, what's your most memorable moment? I know you've been on the show for a little while now, but what's been your most memorable moment so far?
Well, one of my most memorable moments was actually recently. It was last week when we had the Natural Museum on, and they were doing the segment on the Valentine's Day dinner that they're going to host, 3 courses with wine. And, you know, that piqued my interest already, but they're going to be doing a demonstration from Egypt. It's going to be a speaker there, and we had a student host that I was going to interview the second segment. Student didn't show. So then we go into break and they're saying, okay, at some point tag team Linda in. So we go out of break and I'm waiting for Sade to start and she tags me in right away. And I was going like, oh, okay, so first question. And as she's talking, I'm thinking second question, third question. And before we know it, the segment was over. We had such a good time. But this show has been so inspiring for me to come out of that shell and actually just allow myself to be with those Thursday Family Fun Day people. And it's so much fun. So I really enjoyed the show. And being the rookie here, I hope I get a chance to stay.
Well, we appreciate, as we mentioned to the first set of guests, you know, the commitment that everybody makes, because as you know, with Melanie's job, scheduling guests and at the last minute, your co-host is sick. Like a lot of times I'll come in, I'm not feeling well, I can't do this, or I have a meeting I have to go to, and she has to find a new co-host. So having somebody she can depend on really means a lot to us at the show and to our audience as well, because we get to establish a rapport with the audience and they get to know.
So does that make me the MVP?
You're the MVP. Yeah,
Okay.
everybody, we give all of you MVPs for helping us out.
Participation award.
Yeah, but we really do appreciate the commitment in being on the show and being here on a weekly basis. And it's good to see you in person for the first time. Yeah.
You're taller than me. I've only ever seen this part of 5 Fun.
Yeah. Well, we thank you all for being here. Benji and I are going to take another break, and we're back with a few short announcements as we're continuing our 5-year anniversary celebration. We're back in 60 seconds.
At Houston Community College, we make your lessons matter. Open the door to real-world education, where passions become careers. Find out more at hccs.edu and let your success take flight.
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really, Tom?
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands? Yes. You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
All right, welcome back to Up to the Minute. We're live at the HCCTV studios. I'm Todd Duplantis, Benji Escobar, my co-host. You know, one of the big things going on right now is the return of free haircuts. They're having it, free haircuts over at the Central Campus, 9:30 a.m. to 1:30, Tuesdays and Wednesdays only. It's at the J.B. Whiteley building. Walk-ins are welcome, but they do suggest you get an appointment so they can get you set in. We'll have the phone number and information in our post after the show. And registration's still going on, Benji.
Yes, registration for spring is ongoing with classes being offered in a variety of programs and in various semester lengths. HCC courses are also offered in a range of modalities, including online anytime, online on a schedule, hybrid, in-person, hybrid lab. To learn more about HCC programs, start dates, and options to cover costs, please visit hccs.edu/apply.
So tomorrow on the show, we're going to have some more special guests, and make sure you join us. We'll be back live at 10 a.m.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Kids will be kids, which just goes to say kids will be curious. They get into everything, everything. If there's a loaded firearm in the house, they could get their hands on that too. Keeping firearms locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition in a place inaccessible to kids can help keep your loved ones safe from family fire. Safe gun storage saves lives.
If you love them enough to relearn math so you can teach them math, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. Through a nationwide network of food banks, Feeding America serves virtually every community in the United States. See how you can help your community. Visit feedingamerica.org.